So, good morning, everyone. As always, it's great to be here on a Sunday, beautiful Florida Sunday morning. And welcome to all those who'll be watching online, maybe watching online live or in the future. And we do hope, as we always say, we'd love to see you here in person. So much more to be gained when you're here in person and have the help of the good spirits that are with us. Today I haven't got any announcements. We have a bit of an issue with the computer, meaning it wouldn't work. I've got another computer here, so at least we'll have the slides for the presentation later. So we usually start off with announcements. I'm afraid I haven't got any new ones, so as far as I know, the only thing I can announce is that next week it's Mother's Day, Mother's Sunday, right? And we're having a bit of a special event here where we're going to be serving lunch afterwards here in the centre. So if you haven't already contacted Bega, let them know so we know the numbers. But we do hope you can join us for that very special day. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start off by doing the opening reading. Again, I'm apologies it's not presented here on the slide, so I will try and speak with my very good English accent as clearly as possible. This is number 78 from this great little book with little words, but great meaning, deep meaning. And it goes as follows. If only for today, at least, place beauty before your eyes to brighten your outlook on life. Shake off last night's troubles and set out to face people and the world with some measure of goodwill. You will feel inwardly renewed and your surroundings will seem much more pleasant. Goodwill extended to others will return to you as warmth and fellowship. Face the new day committed to wishing and claiming your good place in the world. Again, a beautiful little message. As the phrase goes, what comes around goes around. So often just showing appreciation of others, showing goodwill to others, it'll come where make you feel better. So we got some little technical issues here, but so anyway, with that, just wait till our friend here resolve that silly tripod. Okay, nobody sneeze, please. Okay. So I'd like to ask you to just join me in a short prayer to start our meeting today. Asking the good spirits to be with us. We're so grateful for the presence. We know that you're always with us, helping us, guiding us, influencing us in a good way. But especially today, as we gather to listen some more and get a greater understanding of this wonderful doctrine we call spiritism, we're really appreciative of your presence. Also like to ask the good spirits, the guardian angels, our dear friend Carlos, who will be delivering the talk today, to be with him, to guide him, inspire him, so we can deliver his talk with such love that it will reach our hearts, and as always, more importantly, help us to put the words into practice as we go through our daily lives in the day to come. So thank you so much, and so be it.
Amen.
So I'd like to invite our dear friend Carlos. For those who don't know Carlos, he's 14 years now into spiritism, about the same time as me, I believe, right? How long? 11? Yeah. Newcomer. But Carlos is a very good speaker and spoke a lot at Sefer and here in Conscious, as well as guiding some of our classes. A great friend and a very knowledgeable person, one that can speak more language than I can even think of and has more background in history. Always brings a lot of insight. So I'll hand it over to you, Carlos.
Thank you so much. For those who are going to be watching me for the first time, generally, when I prepare a presentation, I try to do it thinking of how can I share my mental process, so you not only receive the result of the presentation, but I'm showing the path that I've taken to get to that result. Okay? And this is so much so in this topic, because we're going to be talking about unshakable faith And in spiritism, it has to do a lot with mental process. We call it the rationalized faith, not the dogmatic acceptance of a truth, not the blind belief of something. So I exaggerated a little bit to show my itinerary, right? You're going to see even that I create 3 slides called itinerary to faith, okay? Now, this one here, this presentation, it is not only based on the 19th chapter of the Gospel, right, according to Spiritism, but it's also based on other sources of the doctrine, okay? In this book, there is one chapter that deals with this topic, and that is the title of the. Now, the title of the chapter is this one here, right? Okay, Faith Moves Mountain, and the word unshakable is going to be appearing inside and being replaced by robust, firm, and other adjectives that are similar to unshakable. Okay. You're going to see that just for the sake of having a smooth transition, generally I'm going to be showing one slide and not talking about it because it is linked either with something that's going to be coming forward or tying back to something that is before. And they are all related to the theme. For example, here, just place the mountain because it is Faith Moves Mountain. So sometimes it's going to be a very literal way of connecting, sometimes more subjective. Okay? Now, to begin with, the first thing that generally we do is to revise our concept about a word that we use a lot. Because words, they have exceptions, they have connotations, right? Denotations. They have different ways of conceiving and showing an idea, right? And our starting point, just to validate or to amplify what we know about the word as a meaning, is to go to a dictionary. That's the starting point. And every word is going to get its own limit according to the discipline we are dealing with. Because one word may have one meaning in one discipline, in another one, not a totally, completely different, but an extension or amplification of a meaning with a different color and connotation, right? Now, just by going to dictionary, and here I've taken from Oxford and Cambridge Dictionary, we know that faith is a noun, right? And we have as complete trust or confidence in someone or something that's going to happen. As you can see, to define faith, we have already used an adjective. It's not only trust and confidence, it is a complete, and it's going to be tying back to unshakable. Okay? But the very definition of the dictionary, they felt the need to put the adjective complete and not only saying trust and confidence. Right? Now, the other one is firm conviction in something for which there is no proof. So if the first one has chosen complete, the second one is going to be chosen firm. Because we could have started the sentence as conviction, right? The same way as trust, confidence. So people that they created the dictionary's definition, they felt the need to use an adjective, which was not unshakable as the one here, but they show the idea of firmness, something solid, constant, right? And the second definition added the word proof. The first one, we are not talking about if there is proof or not. The second one is we cannot prove. So there is an element here that says that there will be a trust, a confident conviction, or belief, but not necessarily you're going to be basing it on something that is proved. And the question is, what is a proof? Are you talking about mathematical proof, scientific proof, philosophical proof? What kind of revelation that? Because we cannot equate proof only to what is measurable scientifically, right? Because if I have two people that they testify something, and I am a judge and talking to them, they are not going to be write an equation to show what they have seen, and they're going to be considered as a proof. Okay, so we cannot go literally to the sense that it should be scientifically, in the sense that science is whatever I like to reproduce in a laboratory environment and get the desired result as many times as I want. And I'm limited the meaning of science, because here is not history, it's not anthropology, it's not sociology. So, okay, I'm limiting to the natural science. Now, and then the third one here from Webster is strong belief. Again, it comes with an adjective. It's not on a mere or a simple. It is strong belief in God. Oh, in this definition of faith, we have another element, a very subjective one, and religious one. Previous one, they talked about faith without including the word God. But this one is saying, whenever we talk about faith, God is involved. Okay? You may say, I trust, I believe strongly, I have confidence on my daughter, and you're not talking about daughter of God, right? But in this case, it's including God here. Or in the doctrines of a religion. So either God or principles of a doctrine based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. Proof came back again, but it's saying that there is a subject approach to reality because I'm based more in my spiritual experience than to my mental equalized experience in an equation, for example. Is that okay? So I'm just exploring a little bit without entering in the doctrine yet, right? To understand what is faith, okay? And we have this expression on faith, which means without question. So, in this definition, you say you're not going to be questioning, you're not going to be arguing, you're not going to be trying to find accepted. So, our mind on a daily basis is already prepared to believe or to think of faith of something unquestionable. This is the dogmatic approach of faith, which the doctrine does not take as a starting point. Different from other religious denomination, Spiritism reads that it is something that we apprehend mentally and we understand. Because in Spiritism, everything starts in the intellectual side and goes to the moral, spiritual side. Our growth in Spiritism starts with our mental, intellectual, cognitive growth, then to transition into spiritual growth. You say, but why have they chosen this path? Because everything is determined on free will. And for us to do the choosing, make a choice, we use our mind. So we are going to be growing spiritually, the more accurate is our choice. So we always say that this process of evolution in Spiritism, coming from human side to the angelical side, the two wings of the angel is one intellectual and the other one is spiritual. And if they have the two well developed and grown, they can move upwards. This is our frame of parameters or points of the doctrine that we accept as such, right? Now, in all of them, we have one thing in common, which is certainty. So, no matter how we are going to be touching the subject, there is an underlining concept behind there saying, you're talking about certainty. Okay? The question is our certainty coming only from our intellectual exercise, or there is a subject element on it? Right? You're certain that something's going to be happening. It is based on what? We have to start thinking. Then we go to the adjective unshakable. All right? An adjective is something that qualifies a noun, determines a noun. And we're going to see that unshakable refers to something or someone that cannot be changed, cannot be swayed, moved, undermined, either physically, emotionally, or a word here was missing, spiritually, in their belief or confidence. Okay, so I have here the idea of something firm, something solid, or something that is permanent, because I cannot shake, right? I cannot move. Okay. Not possible to be weakened. That means that if I have faith that are not unshakable, that are shakeable, I'm going to be moving sometimes. Sometimes I believe, sometimes I don't believe so much. Sometimes I increase my trust and my confidence. Something happens and then I withdraw, I go backwards. But in case of unshakable is cannot be weakened. Okay. We are still in the literal sense of the dictionary. Unfailing, not faltering. Which means that the unshakable side of the phrase unshakable faith has to do with stability, firmness, and permanence. So it is a certainty that is stable. It is a certainty that is firm and permanent. Is that okay so far?
Sure.
Okay. Now, in Spiritism, our greatest model, Spiritism is based on Christianism, right? Different from other philosophies that are spiritual philosophies, but they do not necessarily contemplate the figure of Jesus. But in all books that we have, the 5 books of Spiritism that we call Pentateuch, Jesus is there. And in the first one is there as our highest model that we have seen on earth. Okay? Which means by definition now that we human beings that are far from being Jesus, we are not going to be in the state of experiencing unshakable faith. Because if he is the supreme concept in my model, and we are not in the very same level of spiritual development, it means that on earth, a place that we call of expiation, right? Or with vicissitudes and proofs and tests, we are going to have shakeable faith, which means that we are going to have ups and downs. So if we, until now, we think that we have unshakable, we are out of place. We are in the illusionary world that we create to ourselves. Right? What is good about that is it shows that there is still a road to go, and we cannot feel guilty of not having this permanent certainty. It is a process for us, okay? Is it reachable, unreachable? On earth, it is also a question mark. The day that people grow to the point of getting near to the unshakable faith, the earth, according to Spiritism, is going to be entering a new phase of regeneration, and it's going to be moving towards another category later on of elevated place. Okay? Now, if we go to the gospel, not this one here, but the gospel, the New Testament, the one that is attached to the Bible, because in the Bible we have Old and New Testament. In the New Testament, there are 37 demonstration of the power of faith of Jesus that some religious denomination call miracles, right? In the Spiritism, we don't give the name of miracles. We're going to get there. But I hope that you're following my thought. At least we have to keep here that if I think that it is something that I'm going to be developing, studying, okay, only the gospel, independent of the books of Spiritism, I have 37 things to read and to think. Okay? Now, in this book, right, we're going to find the subject of faith twice in chapter 1, once in chapter 2, twice in chapter 5, once in chapter 8, one whole chapter, which is the inspiration of this talk, which is the 19th, then once again in chapter 11. So we have another possibility of think again. Okay? And this is advancing because whenever we talk about faith, we always say, because he said, if I had faith at least the size of a grain of mustard, it would be something already big, right? And twice this sentence appear in the gospel, not only here, this is reproduced here, in the sense that this very little thing that we call faith, not even unshakable, but faith, right? And if for a second I can make it unshakable, I can even move mountains. You're not going to see it mountains. It's not the physical interpretation of mountains, right? Otherwise it would be like a very crazy statement, okay? But is that okay so far? Well. Now, in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in this chapter 19, we have only 2 excerpts, only 2 passages taken from the Gospel, the original one. Okay? Kardec has chosen 2 passages. One of them is this one here, right? In which you can find in Matthew, right? There is the chapter and the verses, in which Jesus is called to talk to an individual that was insane, that he has convulsions, right? And he was so much disturbed that he himself, together with whatever disturbed him, right? He threw himself in fire and water. Right? And the apostles tried to take him to a better state of health and mental health, or tranquility, if we call tranquility spiritual health or emotional health. And they failed, and that's the moment that Jesus enters, and he, just by giving a command and talking to the person came back to normality. And Jesus is going to be using the famous sentence that if you have the faith of a grain of mustard, you could even remove mountains, right? Kardec and the Spiritist doctrine do not interpret mountain in the physical sense of mountain. Okay? Interpret mountain in the moral sense. We can remove any difficulty, resistance, any prejudice, any pride, any passion, anything that is preventing ourselves from growing and disturb ourselves. A guilt, like a conscious that is guilty, for example, or the sense of revenge, or any kind of an acceptance of reality, a rebellious movement of our, call it mind, call it emotion, call it feeling or spirit, but not acceptance. If we have faith, there is already a benefit. We are going to be removing the bar, what is the hindrance to our development. Is that okay so far? Okay. I'm just reproducing what is here without making profound comments so far. Okay. Now, we have here three things. In the gospel, according to Spiritism, we read that if you have confidence in our abilities, we are going to have lucidity and certain of achievement. In the dictionary definition, I had certainty, firmness, stability, and permanence, but nothing related to lucidity. Right? And it is stated that lucidity enables us to see, that's why it's lucidity, comes from light, right? Sight. In thought, the end, which is intended, and the means to reach it. So there is a statement that if we have faith, we in thought, in mind, we can see the end of what you want and how to get it. If we can see, it is called lucidity. Right? We envision, we think, and after exercising the thinking chain, right, the rationale, right, we are going to strong believe. And says that the absolute certain, it is what is called unshakable faith. And this is going to give us calmness, patience, and hopefulness. And then we're going to understand why we wait on something. Because wait on requires peace of mind and spirit, not desperation, right? But to reach to this point, there was a previous exercise of the mind, of envisioning a result, this is lucidity, and knowing how to get there. We're talking about resources as well, if I know how to get there, okay? The purpose of this slide is whenever we are impatient, we cannot wait on. Jesus says that the birds and the field of lilies, they know what's going to happen. They know that there is providence. They know that they will survive. But man doubts it. We get in despair. We don't have this peace of mind, this unshakable faith of saying, tomorrow is tomorrow. It's just one day away, but there will be something being provided. We doubt this, right? Then we're going to see why we doubt this. And here you have the image of Solomon, because according to the parable, according to the passage, says that not even Solomon, right? Solomon, in this case here, not even him, with all his wisdom here, and all his beautiful way of dressing, was so much tranquil and patient and wait on as a single bird and the birds. Okay? But in a way, it is telling, observe nature, think about nature. Does it work? Right? Does the cycle of nature has faltering thoughts? Does it go perfectly in harmony, independent of your wish or how you feel, your state of mind, and everything continues? Right? The unshakable faith it has its point of support in the mind and its understanding of things. It carries the certainty of arriving at its objective. So far is appeal to the mind, just corroborating. Calmness in the middle of struggle is always a sign of strength and confidence. Right? Today in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I was struggling with the computer, and I was writing this and say, I have to have strength and confidence. So if I am struggling, I'm nervous, it's a sign that it is shakeable. Right? I have at least to give me the opportunity to be 30 minutes unshakably to finish the presentation. Otherwise, I'm not finished the presentation. Because it was like a meta, right? I was talking about something that I was experiencing at the same time. And the maximum that we have as example is when the boat is about to be turned over. The storm, there is one person here that was unshakable. Right? Because it was following what nature is. In nature, everything has an equilibrium. There is a storm, there is a flood, there is hurricane, what we may name it, but this is not going to be forever because it comes back to an equilibrium, harmony. So chaos is part of the game of harmony. Mm-hmm. We will never recognize peace if there was not chaos. Right? Okay, so let's follow here. So what's the role of our mind in understanding this? Try to find the power that is within. Whenever we think of blind faith or dogmatic faith, the power is outside. Somebody determined the power. Said, this is miracle, you have to believe. But the proposal here is to go the reverse. Try to go inside. This part, it is not here in this sequence. The only thing that I did was Kardec interpreted the gospel and has written chapter 19. And I very humbly organized his words to show a path. So it's not going to be appearance in this sequence, but everything that is here can show where it is in the book. Okay? So our itinerary, and I'm going to be using the Spiritist doctrine here. Right? In our Spirit doc says that we are born simple, ignorant, and with a mission. Everybody is born like this, the very first time that we appear. Second thought, we have as an ultimate mission to reach relative perfection. So we are born simple, ignorant, with a mission. My ultimate mission is try to reach a relative perfection, because if I reach an absolute one, I replace God. Absolute exists to prove that something is relative and the other way around. Right? And we are born with an instinct because the intelligent principle has already had its spirit in the animal world. And we know that the instinct is the pure, genuine instinct, always does the right choosing, make the right choice, because it is ultimately to restore and make the universe of my reality stable, right? Which is a law. I have to progress and perpetuate the species, right? With intelligence and with morality and free will. That's what characterizes the human being, right? Because if I eliminate morality and free will, I can remain in the animal world. Animal world, they are animals very, very intelligent, right? With very good memory. They don't have reflective memory and philosophical approach to say, is this wrong or right? Am I happy or not happy? But they may feel unhappiness, irritation, and fear without really conceptualizing it. But they experience it, right? And we do our choosing and observe its effect, which means that we understand the relationship of cause, effect, action, reaction. If I do something that I wouldn't like to be done to me, it means I do something wrong, there will be a consequence. Be in this life or in another life, because Spiritism is reincarnationist doctrine, right? So I know this in my mind. We learn through love and through pains. We know that in Spiritism, if we do according to our conscience, according to the code of morality, it is smooth. But if we do against it, we're going to suffer. There will be something that's going to be causing pain in me. So far, this is my itinerary to unshakable faith. And we observe our body And you say, wow, how perfect. One thing is connected to the other. How many systems, right? Respiratory system, circulatory system, etc. And what about what is around me? Everything has its own rationale, its own logic, and it continues reproducing independent of my thinking or not. What about the universe? The more I study the universe, the more science get revelations and hypothetical proof of the universe, the more you say that there is something here unshakable, right? That is permanent, that is certain, right? Okay. And we're given to the opportunity to correct. I may correct now or later. If I postpone a correction, the next corner, something is going to be appearing to say, you haven't done this homework. Correct it. Right? This is an hour later. According to Spiritism, whenever we have a physical, a mental impairment, a spiritual disturbance, it is not the cause, but the consequence, the effect of something that we did before. And then we may opt, we have the right to do it here, in this space, over there, yonder, a little bit further, right? And through reincarnation, we sculpt our inner transformation. And we reincarnate to redo, repair, recycle our lives and growth. All of these are statements of Spiritism, and they are here in the book in different order. Right? As you can see here, this is the person, the crippled one in Bethesda that couldn't go to swim because he had the problem, right? Paralysis in his leg, right? Now, we understand the magnitude and mercifulness and justice of God, because if I have different opportunities by rebirth, by reincarnation to repair, so there is something that is perfect, giving me the opportunity to be all right, and consequently, it is very merciful, right? It's not punitive or punishment. We're given a model, which is, according to Spirit Jesus, of God's unconditional love. And we study his extraordinary morality and fluid power. Those who would like to engage in studies, right, of mediumship or in Genesis, we're going to be analyzing the extraordinary deeds considered miracle, showing the perspective of fluid magnetism that are linked to high level of morality. Because we are not in that level of high level of morality, there are levels that we cannot perceive, we cannot see, because we are limited by our cognitive and spiritual growth. But we cannot believe that all the universe, it is reduced to accommodate to our level of perception. So there are things that we don't see, we don't perceive. Right? Okay. And we are aware that with love and charity there is salvation, which is the motto of Spiritism. In the book, in the chapter, there are two spirits that in a mediumistic seance, in a session, they delivered a message about this. Do you bear with me? Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, this is the other person that has paralysis, right? That is brought to Jesus here. Now, we understand that through love and charity there is salvation. That was the sense, the last one. Therefore, if we understand mental process, we know the weaknesses and fragility of forced, dogmatic, and blind faith, right? Which comes from outside, as I told you, and not from the innermost true source of ourself. If we are relying on outside, it's going to be fragile. It's going to shake. right? Because it's not genuinely part of your nature and level of progress. What happens if we have too much confidence? Now we are going to go above, right? In the case of exaggerated, because of our imperfect condition in the process of growth, too much confidence may lead us to excessive self-confidence, and we're going to believe that we are self-sufficient. If we are self-sufficient, we become proud of it, right? And then there is presumptuousness, right? We think we are independent of the world, which means that we disconnect ourselves because we have godlike attitude and we are no longer get the connectivity with the absolute power or the absolute perfection, right? Cause, effect. If I believe that I'm God, there will be an effect, right? True faith allies itself with humility. So we have to go in this process of acquiring faith, but at the same time, we have to keep our dosage of humility, because otherwise we can be off-road, okay? Faltering confidence. Now, what about if it's unshakable all the time as a pattern? Okay, I'm going to be hesitating all the time. I'm going to be feeling uncertain. I will disbelieve in the possibility of victory, because if I don't believe in myself, why should I be winning, right? I will put a barrier to my achievements. I'm going to be getting very angry. I'm going to be using force and violence to prevail, because I believe that everything is in me and I can't find this everything. I don't believe in this everything in me. So the only way of surviving is with force, be it physical or be a conceptual force, ideological force, an imposition on another, but it is going to be force. Okay. This is the scene that the person is when Jesus asked this guy, he knows Jesus. He said, I know who you are. And Jesus says, what's your name? It was a rhetorical question, because if he knows who Jesus was, could you imagine if Jesus is not going to be aware? And he says, I am Legion, right? With lots of disturbed spirits tormenting him. So he had this belief, right, that he could deal with and compare, because he tried to intimidate Jesus. Okay, now, this sentence, the whole sentence, not mine, it's from the book. Okay, the power of a robust faith receives a direct and special application in magnetic actions. Now, it is saying, if you believe, if you understood, you've got through this line of thought, just by going this way, you are exerting a magnet influence in the universe. You're already irradiating fluidically this certainty. And this certainty is going to be reorganizing things, right? Through faith, humans act upon the fluid. And there is a dash saying universal agent. For those who study spiritism, we call it universal cosmic fluid, or just cosmic fluid. Modifying its quality and giving it an impulse that is irresistible, so to speak. Thus, those who combine a normally large fluidic power with an ardent faith, solely by their will directed to good, it should be direct to good, not to evil, perform the remarkable phenomenon of healing and other phenomena formerly regarded as miracle. So in other words, Kardec is saying, due to the magnitude of the nature of Jesus, which on earth is what we have seen as the highest so far, his power, his magnetic influence is able to touch the universe and reorganize it, interfere in its quality, modify its quality, right? And plasmatically present a different state, which is restoring the reality. So if I'm blind, I become a seeing person. If I'm a paralytic, I start walking, because there is a reorganization of the soma, of the particles, due to this incredible influence of magnetic fluid coming from my certainty that I am Son of God. And there is this so famous sentence in the gospel, you are God, in the sense that you have the potential of doing things. Right? It's a matter of inner journey to touch the potentiality, but which are nothing more than a consequence of a natural and moral law. The greatest point here is natural law in our reality is what the science has stated so far. But science is not dead. Science will continue unveiling, revealing other laws that's going to be nature. Natural laws. In other words, we cannot reduce what a law is in terms of nature just to our level of understanding and study. Because there are things that they're going to be revealed later. Right? Science may partially revise a concept or totally destroy a concept, right? This is what we call abrogate partially or derogate totally. And then it's going to have another parameter of a natural law. So when we say that Jesus has done supernatural things, it is because what is natural to our mind, it is our capacity to perceive as natural. But we don't perceive 100% of it. That's why we're evolving. And as we cannot see as according to our level of understanding, we call it super. And because we call it super, we call it miracle. But everything is connected to the natural order that's going to be little by little revealed to man through science. All right? Now, when we have faltering faith, the faltering faith, it senses its weakness. We know that we are weak. That's why we pray desperately. That's why we try to attach on something, any kind of belief or any kind of religions or any kind of psychic reading, whatever. Because whenever you move to, it's because you are aware that it is faltering. Otherwise, you would be there comfortably sitting down as the bird or the lily in the field, right? Physical symbolic force is the proof of weakness and self-doubt. We have here the so famous Peter trying to reach Jesus on the water, and then it shook, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the greater question here is, what happens when the world does shake us? The world shakes us, right? A wedding may be gone. My son may die. I may lose a job. I may be diagnosed of terminal disease. So this is the world shaking us, right? The proposal here is to think of, we become like this, like a withered, and we have the parable of the withered fig tree in this chapter. We become fragile. How can I go back to my rationale and not be affected by this fragility and destroy all my rationale coming from the very first sentence that I was born with intelligence, free will, to build up my destiny, get close to perfection, etc. We have to think of this. Whenever something is happening that seems against us, think of, I am a tree, life is trimming me. Why do we trim a life, right? Because it's giving me the opportunity to grow bigger, to become stronger. So whatever happens that at the apparent level is decreasing my faith, if I remember that I am part of the nature, and there is one element in nature that gets the impulse to become bigger is by trimming, just treat the situation mentally. I'm being trimmed now. All of a sudden, boom, I lost my house. Situation now in Brazil. In your state, more than 6, 7 people dying, 6 that disappeared with flood. It's a huge trim, right? Because it's like, should I start again and affecting everybody, right? But the idea is by trimming to come back to this state, okay? And then we have the parable of the withered fig here, in which the tree was frondous, lots of leaves, but was not able to present the fruit, the fig. As a matter of fact, fig is not a fruit, it's a flower, right? And also, different from the natural courses of our train of thought, this is the only plant that the flower comes before the leaf. Generally, we have the leaf and the flower, but the plant, it is the flower and then the leaves. Okay? And Jesus was saying, and he was interpreted as cursing, even the apostle, you curse the tree, because when he sees that the tree has no fig, he says, may no one eat any more fruit from you. You have just appearance. He's saying, if you have just appearance, you don't have really inner transformation to provide with a fruit, nobody's going to be getting from it. You're going to be withered. You're going to be getting dry. And the apostle, at their level of understanding, goes, you are cursing. That's right. Okay? And again, we come with the very same situation that gives the name to the chapter. He says, you don't have faith. Whatever you say and think, you project. If you have inner power, you project magnetic, fluidic influence on the objects. So it's not a matter of cursing. It's a matter of placing and trimming the tree so that the tree can come back to normal state and produce the flower and the fruit. Right? And he says, if you think of mountain, uproot, and throw yourself, like and personifying, right? Animalization in terms of language. And throw yourself into the ocean, over the cliff, the mountain is going to be doing that. It is in the sense of project your power. Okay? I'm almost about to finish, don't worry. So that's the fig tree. So we have seen that a robust faith, to build it, it requires perseverance, great radiation of energy and fluids, unlimited resources to overcome obstacles. Because I have faith. I know that the resources will be provided. And if it's going to be provided by God, and God is unlimited, eternal, it's going to be unlimited resources. It's up to my capacity to observe them, to identify them, and to my level of intelligence, instinct, morality, to say, this is the resource I'm going to be using now. And we have seen that, I'm just recapping, that the faltering faith gives us uncertainty, the idea that we don't have resource because we're trimmed up to the bottom of the trunk of the tree, and therefore there is a disbelief to win. Okay? However, and this is the case here, right? There is no fish without resources, and all of a sudden, by projecting, I reorganize the universe, its qualities, and then not because of miracle, but it's because of my strong wish, my strong belief, right, that there is providence. Whenever we read the New Testament, there are 3 words that appear very much. One is power, dunamis, sign, saimeon, and one, teras, in Greek. And power It means mighty deed. Jesus' miracles were overwhelmingly powerful acts that revealed his magnetic fluid potence due to his high moral authority. When you go to the sign, which is the semeion, refers to Jesus' deeds, figuratively representing something else. He was showing us glimpses of the kingdom of God, the kingdom of the spiritual world that we have to discover on our daily basis. Right? There were signs authenticating that he has a Christic mission and ministry. And whenever we go to teras, right, wonder, indicates something extraordinary. Christ's deeds were wonderful and compelling acts that caused people to marvel and confirmed his divine mediumistic nature to show us glimpses of the spiritual world. Right? That's why we have transfiguration. Right? Jesus between Moses and Elias. And there are other ways of revealing that is not only science. You're going to follow me with the quest to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not to go, to right the unrightable wrong, to be better far than you are, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable stars. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to be willing to give when there is no more to give, to be willing to die so that honor and justice may live. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm led to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned, covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. That's the English version of the song. In Portuguese, we don't talk about star. We talk about now and here. We talk about apparently unfruitable soil that will see a flower flourishing from dried sand, right? And this is what happened. Going to what we believe that is impossible. In John, that's the last slide. In two versions of the gospel, in the New International Version and New King James Version, he says, Jesus did many other things as well. If every one of them were written down, I suppose that even the whole world would not have room for the books that would be written. In the very same sentence, said in a different way. And there are also many other things that Jesus did, which if they were written one by one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. It's just a matter of translation. It's just a matter of how we interpret the world using our rationale that is linked to our level of morality. Thank you so much, people. That was my way of showing this unshakable faith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you so much. As always,
Carlos, it was an amazing talk. I don't know where to start really. What I'd like to say though is I reflect on my journey into Spiritism, which started about 14 years ago, and there's one or two points on the road. One, I remember the first time I watched Daniel Assisi. I was going to the centre in about maybe a couple of months at that time, and he gave a talk on reincarnation, and that really affected me. But he used the word, when he talked about God, he talked about the grand old dude. And to me, that sort of destigmatized. I always had this, not being brought up in a religious environment. My father was atheist. It really made an impact, And then when I started to study Spiritism more in Spirit's book, I think it's question 9 or 10, it talks about how Kardec asks, when will you really get to know God? And he said, only when you reach that level of perfection will you really get to know God, which Carlos, I think, so accurately brought today that at our level of evolution, we're still very shakeable, and I certainly am. And sometimes when I stand here and I'm asked to do these, guide the centre in the Sunday morning, which I don't particularly like doing. I feel uncomfortable about it because I feel a bit hypocritical, because I think my faith sometimes is questionable. Do I really believe in God? I still think I have those atheistic tendencies, agnostic anyway, because I don't really understand it. But I think what we can understand is the moral lessons and the teachings, and that's what we're here. That's what we're trying to all do together. So with that, I'd like to ask you all to join me in a short prayer, and then we'll go on to our passes. For those watching online, if you want to just meditate, we recommend you meditate. Maybe get a glass of water. Bring the kids in. Thanks, Yuri. Yeah, we'll just bring the children in as well, so they can join us. So let's just quieten our mind a second. Wait for the rest of the family to join us. Are they going to join us? Are they coming? Yeah, they're coming. For those who are watching online, we have quite a lot of new attendees to our Sunday morning. A lot of children who join us. It's so nice to see the youth being involved. So again, I'd like everyone to be quiet, just to rest, calm your mind, and let's just reflect on Jesus, reflect on the good things that he did and what we can do also. So I ask the past givers to take the places, and let's receive the good magnetic fluid of the spirits that are here to help us and guide us in our choices. Thanks so much, and so be it. So we come to the end of our meeting today. I'd like to offer our thanks to the good spirits, but also to Carlos for delivering such a powerful, powerful message today. Let us all reflect on his ideas, his concepts, so we can take it intellectually, but also transform it to the moral side, which is the main objective. Help us put some of these concepts into practice in the days to come, in our interactions with our family, our friends, our co-workers, even strangers we meet in the street. Let's always show that smile, understanding that we're all on the same journey together. In this world of conflicts and distraction, it's often difficult to think what we can do to help. But again, as we learned today, just by having that seed of faith, having that desire, we can send good emanations into this world. And the more that do that, the more our brothers and sisters do that, the more this world will get through this phase of expiations and grow. So in closing, again, we thank the good spirits being with us, bringing us together on this path. Thank you so much, and so be it. Okay, everyone. Well, great to see. It's a nice crowd. Again, just remember that next Sunday is Mother's Day. We're having a special event with a lunch being served here. So please do come along. Have a great week, everyone.